Yo, everybody. Hope you've been doing well. I know we had a little hiatus here for a bit. So I'm catching up. Daredevil, Born Again, Season 2. This is Episode 4. This is probably the best episode from Daredevil we've seen, Born Again, Season 1 and Season 2, period. A lot that goes on, a lot of action, a lot of mind games, a lot of underlying currents. Bottom line, excellent story writing, superb. Highly recommend this. Highly recommend it. Yeah, you definitely need to see what's going on. Episode 1 of the season, not so much. But what happened in the last episode, yeah, it does resonate in this. But basically, bottom line, from the comics, Kingpin and Daredevil hate each other's guts. And in here, they hate each other's guts. They know each other's identities, but they kind of respect, not showing it directly, but there is a war going on between them. The teams. They put the teams together. So basically back to the team thing for a second. Teams, Daredevil, Kingpin, Bullseye. At the end of this, everything goes to shit. So here we go. I give this episode basically 6 out of 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Platinum. Superb episode. I mean, it definitely is Emmy category, but it won't get that because there's this thing that they probably won't give this kind of an Emmy to a superhero show. But well-grounded, especially when it's as violent as this is. But there's so much shit that happens and to unpack. It's just awesome. It opens. I'm not going to dive heavily into this like I've normally had in the past because it's not really worth it. But Bullseye, we get a chance to see Bullseye. We get to see that he looks like an everyday good guy. We even see him feeding his neighbor's cat, being nice to his neighbor. And then we see him go to a diner. And in that diner, he asks, "What are you famous for waitress?" And the waitress goes, "Our milkshake." And he orders a milkshake. And he also makes a phone call to 911 saying, "Hey, Frank Castle's here. The diner just had a sighting." So he sets a trap to get the vigilante group there, the anti-vigilantes, and he basically wipes them all out. Look at that. Boom, boom, boom. Wipes them all out, destroys them, and it's part of his revenge plot, which I'm still not sure if it's a revenge plot fully against Kingpin or against his wife Vanessa. And we'll talk about that in a minute. Meanwhile, we have BB King, who's doing this parody of Kingpin, going, "Hey, everything's all smoke and mirrors, distracting you from the main events, which is making my friends grotesquely rich. New York Born Again Revitalization Products says it's really a shell corporation. Revitalization for money laundering to offshore accounts that make money. Make my friends rich, grotesquely rich." You have that happening in the background. And then, as we saw in the prior episode, Daredevil rescued all these people that were quasi-illegally restrained, including the swordsman. And so a group of these people are sitting there with Daredevil and Karen, and they're talking, and the swordsman goes, "Well, I do love this character because he wants to do good, but he doesn't really want his face to be directly there, but he wants to be a hero who is protecting his secret identity." But he's telling Daredevil, "You don't realize it, do you?" you're a symbol now, and you're a symbol for New York against the Kingpin. You're more than just a hero. And he goes, I left with Karen, bank account number, take what you need to fight. And then he disappears, supposedly. I'm sure we're going to see him again. We got to, because it's a cool thing. And then the Powell and his band of renown who continue their terrorization. They go terrorize Matt Murdock's partner, Christian, rip apart this thing, looking for the swordsman because he thinks she's protecting him there. And she goes, glass walls, do you see him anywhere? No. But meanwhile, makes everything in disarray. And then we see the Kingpin talking to Sledge. You know, Sledge is saying, hey, you still have to deliver. You know, you have service you're supposed to deliver to us. You're supposed to deliver these weapons to us. And, you know, Sledge brings two of his cronies, and basically those cronies end up getting shot by Buck. Boom, boom. And Kingpin and those two have some sort of bizarre relationship where Kingpin kind of respects him but dislikes him totally. So there's that being played. He goes, yeah, we will honor our arrangement. And he hears about Kristen's then visited by Karen, and Karen goes, I need your help because they had shown, Team Daredevil had shown up their doorstep. How this happened? The assistant to the captain of the North Shore ship that went down shows up at their door, and he wants to make a statement saying it's Kingpin, and she asks, we need you to record this and approve and authorize this. Meanwhile, we have the governor who is threatening to take away the status of Red Hook, which is a free port, and revert it so Kingpin can hide shit. Vanessa goes, sees him, and, you know, the governor says, you know, I don't trust Kingpin. I don't like his terms, but because I respect you and it's you two working together, I will respect both of you. So that's how that thing plays out. Meanwhile, Daredevil goes undercover, investigates the diner, and finds some evidence, and finds a coin from a church. He ends up talking to an assistant who's not a priest yet, and he tells him about the guy that visited him. They basically lives across the street. And then so Daredevil ends up visiting him, and that goes to crap. And of course, Bullseye can even turn the DVD into weapons, and they get into fist fights. And you know, he ends up taking a gun to his neighbor and saying, you know, Daredevil's just telling him basically, hey, don't go after Fisk. Don't go after Fisk where he's going to have this fight. It's a trap, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, well, I got to go get him. And they break up. And so the other thing is they film this thing, and they get over to B.B. King indirectly through a friend of the little tiger girl. And he delivers it to B.B. King by feigning an autograph and drops it into her pocket when her and Dan, the assistant mayor, are going to go see this whole thing. And we get into this fight, and we're actually seeing the brutality and strength of Kingpin as getting close to the comic books. Unlike the prior seasons and the seasons on Netflix, he is a huge, big man who is almost superhuman in strength. But then Bullseye attacks, all crap happens at the ring. Daredevil's still trying to stop this, and meanwhile, at that point in time, which I don't know if I have it on here, that assistant to the captain, they turn him over to U.S. Marshals, and the U.S. Marshals blab to Kingpin, and Buck ends up shooting him. So Vanessa was supposed to stay in Albany with the governor. She shows up, And Kingpin said, I don't want you here because you could get hurt. Prophetic words, as it turns out. And she ends up maybe dying at the end of this. So everybody is getting the teams, Team Daredevil, Team Kingpin, of all taking some massive hits. Things are just getting worse and worse. And this is probably an unhinged Kingpin. And this may also unhinge Daredevil even more so. This is where we are. Platinum. Give me your thoughts. Have a great day.